Have you ever stopped to wonder what gives your favorite candy its vibrant, almost unnatural glow? Or what makes that sports drink a shocking shade of blue? The answer is artificial food dyes. These are chemicals designed to make food look more appealing. But here is the shocking truth I want to share with you today. The standards for what goes into your food are very different from the standards for what goes into your medicine. When a doctor prescribes a pill, that substance must be pharmaceutical grade. This means it is incredibly pure, often over 99% pure, with strict limits on any contaminants. It is a level of quality control designed to protect your health at a microscopic level, ensuring safety and effectiveness without introducing harmful unknowns into your system. Now let's compare that to food-grade chemicals. The term food grade simply means the substance is considered safe for human consumption, but the standards are much looser. It allows for a higher level of impurities. Think about that for a moment. The colorful coating on your child's breakfast cereal does not have to meet the same purity standards as a simple aspirin tablet. These impurities can sometimes include things you would never knowingly eat, like trace amounts of heavy metals or other chemicals left over from the manufacturing process. This difference in regulation creates a huge loophole, allowing potentially problematic substances to end up on your family's dinner plates every single day. This discrepancy between pharmaceutical and food-grade standards is at the heart of a major health debate. Why are we so careful with the purity of medicine we take occasionally, yet so relaxed about the chemicals in the food we consume daily? The cumulative effect of these food-grade chemicals and their hidden impurities is a serious concern. Over weeks, months, and years, these small exposures can add up, potentially placing a significant burden on your body's detoxification systems, like your liver and kidneys. It's a slow, silent exposure that many of us are completely unaware of. Yet, it could be impacting our long-term wellness in ways we are only just beginning to understand. So the next time you are in the grocery store, I want you to look at food labels with new eyes. That long list of ingredients ending in a color and a number like yellow number 5 or red number 40 represents a food-grade chemical. It is not held to the same high standard of purity as the medicine in your cabinet. This is not about scaring you, it is about empowering you with knowledge. Understanding this fundamental difference is the first step toward making smarter, healthier choices for yourself and your loved ones. You have the right to know exactly what you are putting into your body and to question why our food is not held to the highest possible standard of safety. It is a question that seems almost unbelievable, but it is one we must ask. Why are chemicals known to be toxic allowed in our food? The answer lies in a complex and often confusing world of government regulation and corporate self-policing. When it comes to medicine, the FDA's approval process is famously rigorous. A new drug undergoes years of extensive testing to prove it is both safe and effective for its intended use. The acceptable risk level is extremely low. However, the system for food additives, including synthetic dyes, operates under a different set of rules, often relying on science that can be decades old and heavily influenced by the food industry itself. A shocking example of this double standard is red number 3, also known as erythrocine. Decades ago, the FDA's own studies showed that this dye caused cancer in lab animals. As a result, the FDA banned its use in cosmetics and externally applied drugs back in 1990, officially declaring it a known carcinogen. But here is the part that will make your jaw drop. Due to industry pressure and a regulatory loophole, the ban was never extended to ingested foods and drugs. This means that a chemical acknowledged by our own government as a cancer-causing agent is still legally permitted in candies, fruit cocktails, and even children's cereals sold across the United States today. This happens because the food industry often regulates itself. Large food corporations have powerful lobbies that influence regulatory decisions. They fund their own studies, which can be designed to produce results favorable to their products. This creates a clear conflict of interest. The FDA, while responsible for overseeing food safety, operates under a different legal framework for substances that were already in common use before 1958. This generally recognized as safe, or GRAS, list allows many substances, including some dyes, to bypass the rigorous pre-market approval process required for new additives. This means a dye can remain on the market until it is proven overwhelmingly dangerous, rather than having to be proven safe from the start. The story of red number 3 is a powerful illustration of this broken system. It highlights a disturbing truth. The safety standards for the color of your food are lower than for the lipstick you might wear. Companies continue to use it because it is cheap, stable, and creates a specific bright red shade that is hard to replicate with natural alternatives. They are operating within the letter of the law, but this raises a profound ethical question. Should a company knowingly use a recognized carcinogen to color a product, especially one marketed to children, just because a loophole allows them to? This is a question we should all be asking. If you travel to Europe and walk down a grocery store aisle, you might notice something is different. The candies are not quite as bright, and the snack foods look a little less vibrant. This is not because European food is less fun, it is because their food safety agencies have taken a much stricter stance on artificial dyes. The European Union operates on something called the precautionary principle. This principle means that if a substance is suspected of causing harm to human health or the environment, protective measures should be taken even if there is no conclusive scientific proof of risk. It prioritizes safety above all else. This proactive approach has led the EU to ban several artificial dyes that are still widely used in the United States, including certain reds, yellows, and blues. For other dyes, they require a mandatory warning label. On any food containing colors like tartrazine, which is yellow number 5, or sunset yellow, which is yellow number 6, the package must state, may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. This simple warning has been a game changer. Faced with this label, most European manufacturers voluntarily reformulated their products, swapping out the synthetic dyes for natural colorings derived from fruits, vegetables, and spices like paprika, beetroot, and turmeric. So why the huge difference? Why are American children eating foods with dyes that European children are protected from? The US regulatory system generally requires a higher burden of proof to ban a substance. The FDA tends to act only after a substance has been definitively proven to be harmful, a process that can take decades of research and face significant legal challenges from the industry. This means that American consumers often serve as the test subjects in a long-term, uncontrolled experiment. The fact that the same multinational corporations produce safer, naturally colored versions of their products for the European market proves that it is entirely possible. This global divide is a clear signal that we need to be more vigilant. When another developed nation's food safety agency looks at the evidence and decides to ban or label a chemical to protect its citizens, we should pay close attention. The fact that a US-based company sells a brightly colored cereal with artificial dyes at home, while selling a version in the UK colored with fruit and vegetable extracts, tells you everything you need to know. The choice to use synthetic dyes is not about necessity. It is about convenience and cost, often at the expense of our health. The primary reason food companies use synthetic dyes is simple and powerful. They sell more products. These artificial colors create an intense, uniform, and stable vibrancy that is difficult and more expensive to achieve with natural sources. Our brains are hardwired to associate bright colors with fresh, nutritious, and flavorful food. Think of a bright red strawberry or a deep green spinach leaf. Food manufacturers exploit this psychological connection. By adding a synthetic dye like red number 40 to a strawberry-flavored snack that contains little to no actual fruit, they trick your brain into perceiving it as more flavorful and appealing than it actually is. It is a form of sensory deception. This visual trickery does more than just make food look good, it can directly influence your appetite and cravings. Studies have shown that the intensity of a food's color can impact how sweet, sour, or savory we think it will be. When you eat these hyper-colored junk foods, you are conditioning your palate. Your brain starts to expect that all flavorful food should look this unnaturally vibrant. As a result, the subtle, natural colors of real foods like apples, carrots, and whole grain bread can seem dull and unappetizing in comparison. This can lead you, and especially children, to prefer processed junk food over whole, nutritious options. The health risks associated with these dyes go beyond just psychological manipulation. A growing body of research has linked artificial food colors to significant health problems, particularly in children. Numerous studies have connected the consumption of synthetic dyes to increased hyperactivity, restlessness, and attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder symptoms. For some sensitive children, removing these dyes from their diet can lead to a remarkable improvement in behavior and focus. It is a simple dietary change that could make a world of difference for a struggling child and their family, yet many parents are unaware of this potential link. Beyond the behavioral effects, there are even more sinister concerns. Many artificial food dyes are derived from petroleum, the same crude oil used to make gasoline and asphalt. Several of these dyes have been found to be contaminated with known carcinogens, such as benzidine. While the levels are low in any single serving, the question is about cumulative exposure over a lifetime of eating processed foods. The Center for Science and the Public Interest has petitioned the FDA for years to ban several of the most common dyes, citing studies that link them to potential cancer risks, allergic reactions, and organ damage. The evidence is mounting, and it paints a very concerning picture. While we have been focusing on the dangers of most synthetic dyes, it is important to know that not all man-made colors are created equal. In the world of medicine, there is a fascinating exception that proves the rule: methylene blue. Unlike food dyes, which are designed for appearance, methylene blue is a pharmaceutical-grade dye with remarkable therapeutic properties. It is a powerful antioxidant and has been used in medicine for over a century for various purposes, including treating a blood disorder called methemoglobinemia. It is a synthetic dye that, when used properly under medical supervision, can actually be a lifesaver. This highlights the vast difference between a pure, targeted chemical and a crude, industrial colorant. On the other end of the spectrum, we have natural pigments. These are the colors created by nature itself, and they are the complete opposite of artificial dyes. Think of the deep purple of blueberries from anthocyanins, the bright orange of carrots from beta-carotene, or the rich red of tomatoes from lycopene. These are not just colors, they are powerful, health-promoting compounds. These pigments are antioxidants which help protect your cells from damage. They have anti-inflammatory properties and play a role in supporting your immune system and overall health. When you eat a colorful plate of fruits and vegetables, you are not just getting color, you are getting a symphony of nutrients that work together to protect your body. So, what is the clear path forward for you and your family? The answer is simple. Read the labels and choose real food. My advice is to actively avoid products with artificial colors on the ingredient list. Look for those numbers. Blue number 1, red number 40, yellow number 5, and yellow number 6 are among the most common culprits. Instead, fill your shopping cart with foods that get their color from nature. Choose brands that explicitly state they use colors from fruit and vegetable sources. This one change can significantly reduce your family's exposure to petroleum-based chemicals and their potential health risks, while increasing your intake of beneficial natural pigments. Your plate should be a canvas of natural color. By making a conscious choice to eat foods colored by nature, not by a factory, you take a powerful step toward better health. You are choosing nutrients over empty chemicals and supporting your body's wellness from the inside out. Challenge yourself to a week of eating only foods without artificial dyes and see how you feel. You might be surprised by the positive changes in your energy, your focus, and even your taste buds as they reawaken to the delicious, subtle flavors of real food. This is not about deprivation, it is about embracing the vibrant, healthy, and truly beautiful colors that nature has to offer.